Well, when it comes to 2016, it's fair to say the election and the campaign before it were the story of the year, whether it should have been or whether we liked it or not. But it wasn't the only story. Tonight, we take a look back at 2016 and the issues we tried to take on here on Stay Tuned. Politics, especially local politics, for sure were a big part of our year, but so were education, community building, and some inspiring work for and by our youth. So as we look back on what we learned, we hope you'll stay tuned. Stay Tuned brings together local experts, journalists, civic leaders, and regular people to have tough conversations for a stronger St. Louis. Add your voice to our conversation, and you're at the table as we stay on top of current events and go deeper, bringing more light and less heat to the issues that matter. From the 9 network of public media in Grand Center, this is Stay Tuned. Well, many discussions in 2016 did center around the election, and whether you are celebrating or stressed over the outcome, most can agree they're at least glad the campaign is over. But beyond the horse race of a unique election, Stay Tuned explored local and national issues in 2016, hoping to inform voters, starting with primary ballots, going right through the general election.
Our producer Maya Northfleet sat down this week with some first-time voters, some first-time to be eligible voters. Not all of them have voted. Let's hear what they have to say, what they're feeling about 2016.
I feel like it's important because you want to choose who the nomination is for whatever party that you're going to vote for. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was asking her if she was going to vote and who she was voting for, and she was like, "Oh, I don't vote." And I was like, "Well, why wouldn't you vote? And if you don't, you can't really complain about the situation."
What are the things that you're really needing a candidate to pay attention to?
So I really don't like how our education system is currently set up, just the way that it's funded. And I don't like how socioeconomic status can essentially determine the success of a child.
I feel like there's such a division in our country right now, and I want to see the United States become united again, honestly, because I don't think anything can happen until we all kind of see each other as people.
When I do talk to mostly adults, they try and disregard the opinions of millennials, and people tend to think that some of the things that we want are unrealistic.
It's just because we don't vote. There's so many young people that don't vote.
I'm just really surprised by the narrative of the outsider, the career politician being a demerit, when Koster knows a lot about state government. Teresa Hensley knows a lot about prosecuting cases and running large offices. You've got some really competent people that are being derided as career politicians.
Roy Blunt knows a lot about Washington?
He does. He's a career politician, and that's one of the pluses for me in terms of Blunt's and candor coming up against Blunt. But if you want an accountant, you want a career accountant. If you want a plumber, you want a career plumber. If you want a journalist, you want a career journalist. So career politicians shouldn't be a slam, but they're getting away with doing that in the advertising.
I think it's a slam. I think, the mood in the country right now is that we don't want more career politicians, and the reason for that is because we have not gotten the results that we were promised over and over and over again. And for Republicans in the midterm last time, a lot of huge promises were made. Just give us Congress, just give us the Senate. So the grassroots and a lot of people who do donations, small and large, they delivered, and what they received was nothing. Lots of gridlock, lots of promises broken, and lots of missed and unreturned phone calls and emails, and legislators who spent a lot of time in Washington but weren't available when they were here in the state of Missouri. And that's why the career politician label is a negative. It's something that if you're labeled with it and you can't adequately explain how you've been a good career politician, it's a negative for you.
The problem with that, and I understand why it plays, and there's no doubt it plays with a lot of voters. I live out in West County, and I think that outsider thing plays with a lot of voters in West County. However, when the primary candidate for governor, in this case Eric Greitens, who's campaigning as the outsider, the two primary candidates in the state campaigning as an outsider are Democrat Jason Kander for the U.S. Senate and Republican Eric Greitens for governor. When Greitens is campaigning as an outsider and yet is surrounding himself with most of the same insiders that have been electing and advising the career politicians, it comes off as shallow. when he campaigns as the guy who's going to clean up ethics and then takes possibly the most unethical $2 million donation in the state's history, it comes off as shallow. And I think that's where ultimately it'll be interesting to see what the voters say. The voters may, in fact, completely support what Stacey's saying in terms of if the voters select the outsiders, then that model is going to be with us here for a while. But I think it's pretty shallow. It's not a deep enough reason to vote for somebody just because they're saying, I don't have any experience, so send me because I got to be better than the next.
You mentioned polls just a little bit ago, and you have experience polling. What did we miss? What did the polls miss? What did the journalists miss in what people were trying to say or what they said in this election if they were willing to vote for someone who is right to work and they work for, and they have a union job?
Well, what polls didn't miss was change, and that was the main reason by far for voting for Obama in 2008. And you know, people look for change and it doesn't happen. A lot of promises are made, and now that was the main reason for voting for Trump this year, and probably for Greitens as well. And people are really naive about that. They vote for these people thinking they're going to get change, and politicians just can't produce that change they want. Joe was mentioning, about, bringing back these factories that have gone out of business. It's bringing back the coal industry. These things aren't going to happen. And pollsters have been measuring this kind of thing for a long time. People like to bring in new politicians because they promise change, and then of course the same broken promises are made.
Beyond the election, we explored an issue that's gotten a lot less attention and maybe one that many have never even heard of. It's called summer melt. Graduation numbers are on the rise, but now many say the challenge is ensuring that each and every high school graduate has the opportunity to continue their education.
Are all of y'all the first in your families to go to college?
I technically am. Like, my mom and dad are successful without really going to college, but there wasn't really like, oh, you have to go to college. Like, you have to do this and you have to do that. I really wanted to go.
My parents, unfortunately, did not go to college or high school, so all the pressure was on me to set an example. And at the high school mindset, it's like, oh, okay, my mom and dad take care of it. But then when you transition to college, it's like, oh, it's up to me. And it's fairly difficult to change in like 1 year.
My mom and I sat down and had long conversations my senior year, like, here's what I know, here's what I don't know, and this is all you. You take care of this. Is this kind of like what you all went through with your parents when it came time to really start thinking about college after high school?
I looked to my mom for help, but she was basically like, Jen, like, ultimately this is your decision. Like, this is what you're deciding to do. You want to take loans out? You want to go to a state school? That's you, Jen.
What was that random miscellaneous thing in the process of getting to college that almost caught you up?
I would say when I would submit applications for scholarships and I didn't receive any letters back. That really discouraged me a lot.
Not having a car almost made me not go to school.
That's real.
Not having money almost made me not go to school.
Not having a car is stopping people from going to school. So what would you say to those folks who do end up not going?
I would say if you feel like it's not going to work, if you absolutely feel like it's not going to work right now, give yourself time to wait, save up. It's not like, oh, you're getting out of high school now, you have to go straight into college. If you have to wait, I mean, by all means, don't feel like it's the end of the world.
What can you do to help?
So there's a lot of things. It depends. Every single situation is different. The majority of students that come in talk about financial aid and what can be done, and is the school that they're looking at, is it affordable? Another thing, sometimes students come in and they have not applied anywhere. So we've been really fortunate to have higher ed, representatives from higher ed come in and work with the students and say, you know what, it's not too late to apply to school. And we engage in those conversations. We're all experienced counselors in the center, and we engage and say, what is it that you want? What do you want to do next, and how can we help you get there?
And am I right that I've read that the counselors can make a very measurable, a very significant difference with not that much time invested?
That's right. Just, a few hours over the summer. I think it's 3 to 5, is that right? Just having that additional attention can make a huge difference whether or not a student enrolls in college or not. Sometimes the things that they need to just finalize are very simple.
The summer of 2013, I was lost. I didn't know if I would be able to go to college. Originally, I was attending Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, and that didn't go through, so I had to rethink. My guidance counselor, Shannon Julian, she invited me to the center, and I met Laura, and that was all she wrote. So.
Before you found the center, was that stressful?
It was. I was in this illusion that, I'll get to college and it wouldn't be hard, and it didn't have this tedious process, which I now know that it did. And I'm just grateful that I came in contact with the center, because some people don't know that there are resources here, and it can make a difference. It can be detrimental or it can be beneficial.
A person's ambitious and they have had the talents and all the things that have to come together, the good fortune to be accepted into college in the first place. Is it hard to ask for help that summer?
Yes, because people want to believe that they got it all together, and when it doesn't seem so, it makes you feel bad. I know I felt horrible. I was an honors student. I just knew I was going to Spelman, and I had a lot of family members who were rooting for me. So it definitely takes a huge chunk of your pride to say, hey, I need help. But that is okay. And that is why we're here. And we're going to tell everyone out there that if you need help, just, come.
Can an individual raise expectations for someone for a kind of big, for a little? Yeah. Is that a skill that you can learn as a mentor and do this on an individual basis?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think it's simple, and I think it can also be trained. So the comment of, I have expectations for you. I've had a little sister. She is now 28 years old. I was matched with her when she was 8. And so she's had lots of diversions. I did too, though, right? So I get that. But I remember one particular day, I told her I was going to pick her up at this time, and she wasn't there, and she just kind of stayed out that night, and all this kind of stuff. And I just finally said, you know what? You're better than this, and when you decide to live up to who you are, you call me back, because you can hang out with all of them. I'm fine with that, but you don't bring me your worst. I love you. You call me when you get home. I think when adults tell kids, you're great, you're better than that, I'm not going to put up with your lease because I know who you are, they get better. I get better. Like, I've been, as an adult, someone has looked at me and said, Becky, you're better than that. And it's like, oh, man. And I am 54 years old. I should be grown by now. And every now and then I fail. And somebody says, you're better than that. And then you live up to it, right? Because you know you're better than that.
We've heard so many times throughout the whole American Graduate stuff, how many kids never had one adult in their life? Yeah. Not one. Ask them a question, show any interest, let alone hit some expectations for them. Right. And so the ability for one individual to step in and do that, and very often it's a teacher. Obviously, very often it's a family member, but a lot of people don't have the family members to do that.
I've never met a young person, ever, in 28 years, that if you looked at them and they trusted you, and you told them, I know you can do better than this, I know who you are, that they would not respond. But there's just not enough people saying that, right? When a kid goes off the path, we give up. And it's like, why give up?
Also having using Gentleman Division as an example, having a group of peers around you, that are all your age, and you all are like-minded. We all want to succeed. We all want to be better. So not only does Warden hold me to a higher standard, but my brother right here next to me holds a higher standard. And I'm accountable for him, and he's accountable for me.
One of the things that impressed me, and you mentioned it too, but just being around your organization, is that the generation that goes through wants to come back. You said it. The dream is to have your own step team. Yeah. I think you said it about bigs and littles growing up and wanting to do that.
Yes.
And so you must see that a lot. I think part of it is because guys don't want to leave.
Yeah,
They don't want to leave the brotherhood. Right?
Just today, I had to leave a little early, and one of my graduates, he's in college right now, he came in and said, "You know what, Mr. Ward, you're busy today. I want to run practice." And I didn't even know he was coming, but these guys continue to pop up, and every time I talk to them, they're doing good things, and that just makes me feel wonderful, because at the time when I started the program, that wasn't even my thought. It was just doing something to help these young men to be productive. And now it's just blossoming into this whole big thing that is way beyond my imagination.
And we started the show by talking about what graduation rates are doing right now. They're up. They're up in Missouri and Illinois even more than the national increases. Is it about more though than just graduating for what you want to see for your gentleman of vision?
Yeah, I just want these guys to dream and to pretty much fulfill. Like a lot of these, when you talk to these young men, they have big dreams, and a lot of times with nobody kind of helping them to plan those steps. You know, you check back with them, they haven't done anything. So that's what we've been able to do, is help them to follow the steps, because again, most of them have a lot of big dreams.
Breaking down those dreams to short-term goals.
There you go, to chunks, and helping them to go on that college campus and graduate, not go in there and party their way right at the back of the campus, but to leave there with paperwork where they can continue to follow their dreams, and that's the secret right there.
And I'm guessing too, to demystify some, you were talking about, was it 90% you said first generation college?
Yeah.
Demystifying some of the process,
Exactly.
setting the bar higher, and just kind of, I know that was the case for me going off to college, was what's a hour of a class? I had no idea what they were talking about.
But see, that's why those college visits come in handy though. Like when you end the program, you're like, oh, here we go again, college visits. But all of that resonates with you and it all sticks with you. So when you get to school, you're like, oh, I know I need to go see this counselor. I know I need to go do this. I know I need to go do that. And so you're not really lost in the sauce. Warden's favorite thing to say while we in high school is graduate, honor roll, get them grades right, fix your situation. After you graduate, his favorite thing to say, stay in school, get the degree, don't you come back home,
So encourage me. Tell me that not everyone's going to get to be on a nationally ranked national championship team.
Yes.
How do we do this for individual kids?
So everything that they are talking about, the encouragement, sense of discipline, introduction to college, Big Brothers and Big Sisters would fully support that. We are now staying with our little brothers and little sisters through the age of 25. We're the first organization in the nation to do it. It used to be a time when kids could graduate from high school and, you know, high-five and you're off. But that path, that 18 to 25 is really treacherous. So we're very proud. 95% of our little brothers and little sisters are graduating from high school, and about 75% of them are entering college, which is either trade school or a 4-year. But we're now tracking what we call their 3 E's. Are they enrolled in college or trade? Are they enlisted in the military? Have they gone immediately to employment and finding a different path? So I just think it is so hopeful. And I think the one thing that we know it, common sense tells us that, life experience tells us, and so does research. You have to have someone that opens these doors for you, to show you things you've never seen before, to tell you that you can walk down that path. You just have to have people that believe in you, are going to be there for you, and pass on these amazing values.
After the Ferguson Commission made its recommendations to the St. Louis region, many wondered if anything would actually be done about the disparities in our community, brought to light since August of 2014. While it remains to be seen how those in political power will respond to many of the Commission's calls to action, we found a small, rather unique program in the city of St. Louis called Neighborhoods United for Change. It's trying to foster positive change, 2 neighborhoods at a time. Although just over 5 miles separate the Lewis Place neighborhood in North St. Louis and the Holly Hills neighborhood in South St. Louis, that distance spans more than just geography. And Neighborhoods United for Change is working to reduce the social distance, make neighbors out of different neighborhoods through guided tours. This week, our tour started in Lewis Place, home to St. Louis's oldest African-American owned street and also the location for the historic Shelley versus Kramer court case that struck down the practice of restrictive covenants, which prevented blacks from owning property or even living in the neighborhood. After a quick drive down Kings Highway, we arrived at the Holly Hills neighborhood, home to many elected officials, and Carondelet Park, the third largest park in the city. Parks and history aside, this tour was about much more than sightseeing. The confined seats of a school bus made for intimate conversations. Why are things the way they are in St. Louis? So often divided. Black or white, north or south, the program hopes to bridge the gap between neighborhoods and what they think they know about each other, opening lines of communication, one tour at a time.
Okay, so let's talk to some of the folks who've actually taken part of this. Let me introduce who we've got at the table now. Angela Sears-Spittle, you're a facilitator. You're helping these tours actually happen for Neighborhoods United for Change. Alvin Willis participated in the tour. Yes. Thank you for being here. And Carol Johnson, you did as well. Thank you both for being here. I'll open it up to you first, maybe. What motivated you? What made you want to take the time, get up on a Saturday, and go take a tour of another neighborhood? Tell us where you live and where you went.
Okay. I live in the Lewis Place neighborhood, have been there almost 40 years, have been a member of SLACO for probably that long. SLACO was born in the Lewis Place neighborhood at the Visitation Church. And so I felt committed to be a part of what I see as a solution to some of the problems that we see citywide.
So you were on the tour to Holly Hills.
Yes.
What did the tour do for you?
Well, it gave me an earful.
A good one, I hope.
A good earful. It gave me an earful because I heard many comments. Some were like, wow, did they really say that? Do they really think that? I believe that there were thoughts and ideas that were changed on the tour. Perhaps some of mine were too. So, and I think that's a good thing because we found a lot of common areas, and yet, of course, we saw a lot of differences as well.
Mr. Willis, same question to you. How was the tour for you?
Well, I thought the tour was great, and I joined it because I thought it would be a good opportunity for the north side and the south side to see each other. It's amazing how many people have never been north of Delmar and how many people have never been to Holly Hills. And so we had the opportunity to show them our neighborhood, to show them the institutions that we have, like Rankin Tech, 100 Black Men, all of the churches that we have. And we had an opportunity to show them that our neighborhood north of Delmar is really in a position to rebound and to revitalize. And I think to see the difference between the two neighborhoods was something that each of us needed to do. So I thought it went very well.
Were people surprised by what they found in your neighborhood?
I think they were. I think they were surprised by the architect and by the size of our houses. When we went to Holly Hills, the Holly Hills neighborhood is more compact with less of vacancy and smaller homes. And that's one of the things that really disturbs me is to see the decline in our neighborhood and to see the abandonment, the vacancies, and also to see the number of homes that are being torn down that are just architecturally beautiful. And so they had a chance to see that. But we also had a chance to show them the Delmar Divide. And in fact, we only went one block south of Delmar, and you could immediately see the difference. And so I think that was impressive to them. Yeah. So I think many of the people in Holly Hills saw north of Delmar for the very first time, but they all, and I think it changed some perceptions because I think a lot of them thought that this is a neighborhood that's really gone and it's gone forever, but our neighborhood is not. We have wonderful people that live there, we have great institutions, and we all are working together to make our neighborhood better.
Another reason I saw a lot of hope was that on all of the tours, people have been very eager to have authentic conversations. And that's not easy to do. These are strangers, they've been together for an hour, and we're asking them to have tough conversations about systemic racism and income gaps and different things like that. And they have all engaged in that conversation eagerly and willingly. And that's not a small task. I found a lot of hope in that.
Well, I had someone from the Holly Hills neighborhood to call me yesterday to get the contact information for the person that she had the conversation with. So she wants to continue that conversation. And I think that's good.
As we turn the page on 2016, we look forward to 2017, which is already shaping up to be a big year for St. Louis. The city will have a new mayor for the first time in over 15 years. We're poised to continue our startup surge, and there is still a lot of work to be done to make the region what we'd like it to be for everyone. In 2017, stay tuned, we'll continue to try to shine more light on the issues that matter and the people taking them on. As we leave you for 2016, I'd like to show off those who you don't get to see who make this show possible. And until next year, I hope you'll stay tuned.